Hello again, and welcome to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood at Secure Financial Management. My name is Randy Cook, and each week Jay and I sit down here and talk through some of the things that you might be wondering about when it comes to this time in your life they call retirement. It's coming. You're a year closer now to getting into that stage of your life. So we sit here and try to give you a little advice and what other people are asking and see if we can get some of your questions answered as well. Jay, how are you doing today?
Fantastic, Randy. How's life been treating you?
Pretty good as we move into a new year. I'm not a person that does New Year's resolutions. Are you a person that does that?
No, if I'm going to do it, I just do it.
That was a quick answer.
Yeah.
Not doing it. I have not had a whole lot of success with New Year's resolutions, but we're all looking at the new year and how that's all going to take place. And, last year, as Jay and I were doing this show at about this time, we were probably saying that, hey, 2025 is going to be a great year to retire because interest rates are up and the market is going well. If you're going to retire, this is the year to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is 2026 the year to do it because interest rates are moving down?
That's right.
Annuities used to pay 7%. Now they're probably paying an awful lot less. So we had 3 good years in the market. We don't know if we're going to have another good year in the market. So, Jay, when we say things like, is 2026 a good year to retire, should we even be asking that question? Should our retirement decision rely on what the market is doing or what the economy is doing or what the unemployment is doing? Should that really be a factor?
2026 is going to be a good year for you to retire if a couple of these factors are in place.
Okay.
You've done your financial planning. Everything looks good there. The money's there. The assets you have will support the retirement that you want. You're mentally ready to retire. You actually want to start working. If you like what you're doing, don't stop working. Enjoy it. There's no obligation to retire. Retirement is when, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That is what will make 2026 a good year to retire. And guess what? That's also what made 2025 a good year to retire. And it will make 2027 a good year to retire as well.
Gotcha.
Because all of the peripheral issues that we just discussed, interest rates were higher and whatever. Most people are going to be retired for multiple decades. And those cycles are going to keep running through your whole retirement anyway. So it's not that interest rates are coming down now and they'll never go back up again. How many people are struggling with the fact now that a mortgage is going to cost you 6%?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's actually pretty low in the long run range of things, right? Go back to the 80s and ask those guys what they were paying for a mortgage, and they would think 6% was the best deal they'd ever heard of. But we were in an environment for, let's call it 7 to 8 to 9 years, where mortgages were 3, 4. There's even some people I've run into that at the big end of 21 locked in like a 2.75,
mm-hmm.
right? It's called recency bias, right? That's what we saw the most recent period. Well, 5 or 6, 7%, that's ridiculous for a mortgage. It's actually historically a pretty average, maybe a little bit lower than average rate. Those cycles are going to run through your retirement as well.
Mm-hmm.
Have your finances in order. Have that box checked. Be ready mentally to retire. Yes, this is what I want to do. I do want to move on to the next phase of my life. Those are the things you need to focus on more than what's happening with everything else.
Being financially ready, being emotionally ready, having a plan for your money, having a plan for your time. My wife is a little bit older than me, and she is right on the edge now. She's getting ready, and she's starting to talk to a lot of people who have retired. And just this week, she talked to somebody who retired, I think 5 years ago. She retired for a reason, to take care of her mom, and her mom has passed, and now she's back actually in the workforce, working kind of on her terms. And she talked to her yesterday, and she said, retirement can be a slippery slope. She said, I get up every day. I put my makeup on, I get myself dressed, and like I'm going to work, even though I work from home. She said, it's really easy to put on a pair of sweatpants, sit on the couch, and watch TV. It's really easy to do that. And there's some discipline involved with retirement. Yeah, finding
Absolutely.
yourself in retirement. And so that's as important as the financial aspects. So Jay is absolutely on the money there. Give Jay a call and let's talk through both aspects of it, financially and emotionally, when it comes to your retirement. And if 2026 is your year, let's get that conversation going. 210-985-6200 is the number for Secure Financial Management. It's a no obligation, no cost meeting to talk about your retirement. What's going to happen? It's going to be a conversation about who you are, what you want to do, what you've done. And, eventually we're going to get into the money part and find out what you've done for retirement. And is it going to support what you want to do? Let's have that meeting. Retire210.com or 210-985-6200. So in a regular year in this country, about 1 to 1.3 million people retire. When we went through COVID, a lot of people said, that's it for me. And 3.6 million people retired that year. In the last 2 years, even that number has gone up. We're up to 4 million people retiring every year. And Jay, when I think about that, I think about like when there's a hurricane and there's the bad actors come out and they say they're going to fix your roof and you give them half the deposit and then they disappear. Or, people who charge $10 for a bottle of water or $10 for a gallon of gas. There are bad actors out there. And if there's 4 million people that are needing your kind of services, there's going to be some people that aren't going to do it right. So if somebody is looking for a financial advisor and they're one of those 4 million people that's going to retire this year, what are some red flags that you would say, this is something to watch out for? This might be a bad actor. What would you say that list would be?
So the first thing someone should do when we're talking about this topic, right, is my book, Wall Street's Game. They can get it on Amazon. There is a checklist to go through when you are interviewing or considering a certain advisor. Like the reason I wrote that book is almost everybody who reads that book, I'm never going to get a chance to meet with, right? Like it sells all over the country. But I wanted to put something together that can help somebody no matter where they are, whether they're working with us or wherever they might be in the country. Get that book. I'd encourage you to. It's got the checklist in there. It talks about kind of all the things to be aware of. But let's touch on a little bit of it right here, okay? One thing I will mention that I've got in that book, along with the checklist, is there's somewhere that people can go. It's called BrokerCheck is the name of the website. It's actually brokercheck.org, I think it is. And you can type in the name of whoever it is that you're considering working with, and SEC or FINRA, whoever they might be registered with, it's going to have a record there of like, is this a legit person? Have they had complaints against them? Are there any sort of sanctions? You can kind of check that out, right? And if they do, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad. Read it, but that'll give you a background on who that person is and if they're up to no good to a degree. And yeah, you're right. It is going to bring out bad actors because people are going to look at this industry and say, hey, there's trillions essentially, really, that are transferring from pensions and 401ks and IRAs. And yeah, money like that is always going to attract people that have the wrong intent. But let's talk about at least one red flag. And I specify this one because we just had this come up with a client who onboarded with us, who retired, I don't know, a month or so ago. And she interviewed a couple of different advisors and she came to us and we went through our process and she's like, yeah, let's move forward. I want to do it. I was like, okay, great. And I'm always trying to get better, make the other advisors I've got there better, the company better in general. And I said, hey, can you share with me what made you choose us? Because I want to keep doing that, right? I want to keep delivering the value that people need. And she said, well, one of the guys I met with, like, just chatted with me and we never even got any. I don't know what the deal was with it, right? Just it was kind of never went anywhere, never got any advice. He didn't seem to know anything when I asked him questions. I didn't have confidence with him. I was like, okay. So the next guy, we didn't meet in his office. He took me out to lunch. I said, all right, well, that's not weird, right? I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. She said, and halfway through lunch, he pulls out an annuity illustration and application for me to fill out.
Wow.
He had it ready, right? He didn't even know, does she have $10,000 or does she have $10 million? What's she trying to achieve? Like, okay, this is kind of the route we're going to go. Well, I mean, it shouldn't take a highly, highly intelligent person to figure out that guy has decided what he wants to sell you, not advise you on.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that should be obvious. And she said, I came here like, everything was very clear. It was a multi-step process. Like, I understand the whole thing. Like, I'm really comfortable moving forward. I mean, that should be a red flag for people. And unfortunately, the reason the industry has a bad name, and it's earned it, I'm not trying to make excuses for it, is there are too many bad actors that are salespeople, not advisors.
Right.
90% of the issues, maybe even more, come back to that factor, is that it's salesmen, not advisors.
Yeah, if they're leading with a solution, hey, have I got a stock for you? Hey,
Right.
have I got an annuity for you? And they're talking about that before you even really get into the conversation about you, your situation, what you have, your life. That's probably a red flag. And I think it'd be a great idea to pick up your book. You can go to the website as well, which is retire210.com. And as you go down to the bottom of the page where I've been telling you to put a little information in there, there's a place for you to get that book as well.
That's right.
Wall Street's Game. So retire210.com or 210-985-6200. We have what we call a Get Me to Retirement 5-step process. And that first meeting there is really that introductory meeting is just listening. It's finding out who you are, what you want to do, what you've done for retirement. There should be nothing in your first meeting for sure about, hey, have I got an annuity for you?
Have I got a deal for you?
That's just not going to happen. You're listening to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood at Secure Financial Management. We appreciate you tuning in today. Remember, we also have our podcast, which is on iTunes and Spotify. So if you're hearing the show, you got to get out of the car. That's okay. Listen on your own time. Just look up Clear Skies Retirement. So, Jay, the next group is coming through. I'm feeling a little sad now because most of the articles don't even talk about baby boomers anymore. It's all about Gen X coming up. So
You think you're being forgotten or what?
I'm aging out. Oh no! But you know what? I have my son-in-law is a Gen Xer. My daughter is in the far end of the millennials, and so they go about things a little bit differently when it comes to finances. I mean, their questions for me are very different than the questions I was asking at their age. So these are people that are going to be coming to see you now. Do you see a difference in the concerns of the next group coming up and how to handle those concerns? Is it going to be a whole different kind of planning, or what are you seeing?
We're noticing that as well, as we're getting more and more of that Gen X group that are, I think the cusp of it is like you mentioned, it's late 50s, right? Not to 60, not quite early 60s yet. And it's kind of funny because as a mentor I've got that I've known for decades, and we'll chat, a couple of times a year about the industry, kind of what they're working on, what we're working on, different things. And this topic has come up. And he's definitely a boomer. He's probably a little bit older than you, Randy, actually. So he's right in that meaty spot of the boomer generation.
Right.
And he's not so much worried about this because he's kind of transitioning his business out to the younger advisors there. And he's like, well, when these Gen Xers come, things are going to change a lot with the industry. And I said, you know what? It's not. Because yes, the generations, they approach things differently. But what I've noticed over the decades is they are approaching things differently because they're in a different stage of life. That's why, right? But when your generation retired, Randy, what did they want? They wanted to be able to take what they have saved and sacrificed for and have an enjoyable retirement out of that. Yeah, I need a bit of growth. I don't want too much volatility. I want some consistency. I want to travel. I want to spend time with my grandkids. I don't have to worry about my investments. Guess what Gen Xers want when they retire?
Pretty much the same thing, I would think.
They want to take what they've sacrificed and saved for, and yes, I want a bit of growth, but I really need some income, and I want to enjoy my retirement years and travel and spend time with my... It's the same thing.
Right.
Like humans in general pretty much want the same stuff. Like if you get hungry and I get hungry, we both want to eat.
Right.
I don't take some other different action. So, will the world look a bit different? Will there be other investment opportunities? Will there be things that we have to pivot for that we didn't have to before? Absolutely. But at the heart of it, they want the same thing.
Do you think the Gen Xer, because I sat down at my first computer when I was 30 years old. Okay. That sounds crazy, but that's when I did. And it wasn't like I neglected it, but my daughters and my granddaughters are, 3 years old and they're into computers. Okay. So it's going to be a little bit different there. Do you think that the Gen Xer is thinking I'm never going to get Social Security, or whatever I get is going to be so much less than what they get today? Then the ages will be different. My whole approach to this is going to be a little bit different from the government programs like Medicare and Social Security?
So the Social Security issue, I'll spend more time talking on that because that comes up no matter the age.
Okay.
Right? Like, that's not a Gen X concern. That's everybody who's planning for retirement concern, really. Okay. And our approach to that, like my business's approach to that, the other advisors, is if you are within striking range of getting Social Security, right? So which means, you're closing in on 62. And, when I say striking range, frankly, I think anybody who's within 15, 20 years of getting that benefit, I don't think it's something they should worry about not having. Okay. I think it's going to be there. Okay. There are so many levers that can be pulled to help fix that program. I'll just touch on a couple of them, right? So I don't know where the figure is right now. I think it's around 160, 170,000. Only the first 160, 170,000 of income pays into Social Security. So you've got people that are making $250,000. These CEOs making whatever, 20 million a year. Almost none of that is taxed for Social Security.
Right.
It's only the first 160, 170,000 they make. So, could you increase that? Well, look, I'm not an advocate for big taxes or anything like that. I'm not. But if you're looking at this just numbers wise, could that bring in some more? Yeah, that could help stabilize it. The biggest thing is the retirement age. 62 is too young. And I know that's going to sound like blasphemy for anybody who's 60 and is very close to getting it, right? And they're not going to pull the rug out from underneath you. But I think what they are going to do, and this happened in the 80s, right? They changed the full retirement age, right? They changed it from 65 to, it graduated up to now 67, right? That's my full retirement age is 67. It used to be 65. And what they did in the 80s, I can't remember what the cutoff was, but it was like, hey, if you're 30 years old now, you're not going to get it at 65. It's going to be 67 by the time you get there. I've got young children you're aware of. Their full retirement age is the same as mine. It doesn't make any sense, right? Like they're going to have to change some of these things to make the system more stable. But is it a concern for Gen Xers? It's a concern for them. It's a concern for boomers. I don't think it's something to be worried about because I think it's going to be there. But this is what will happen is it will be an 11th hour thing like it always is. Everything will be about to fall apart because no politician wants to touch this because no matter what they do, the other side is going to crucify them, right?
And they won't be reelected,
Right, they're not going to get reelected. So that's why nobody wants to do it. It's not that it can't be fixed. It's actually pretty easy.
Do you think that the next generation of people who are coming up have less confidence in the stock market? I've heard this story where, you'll have kids who were in high school and they saw their parents get obliterated in 2008. They lost their job and they lost their career and they had to start all over again. They lost their savings and that put a mark on them. And I think that there is a group that probably experienced that. But at the same time, I also see people who are in their 40s and 50s or late 30s and 40s who are, all about going into Bitcoin, all about private equity, all about the risk of the stock market because they see the upside and they see a tremendous sky high upside. Do you think the attitude about risk is going to change with the younger people who are coming up?
What I see from the younger people is that, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this so nobody gets offended by it, but somebody probably will, right? They handle the swings in the market better.
Okay.
I think living through, if you're a Gen Xer, you remember the .com, right? You very well. You remember great financial crisis. You remember all that sort of stuff, right? And when we have that April event of 2025, right, when Trump did his Liberation Day thing and the markets were down, 15% in 10 days or something, I had people freaking out, and I knew who they were going to be. Right? I already had the list there ready to go. Then I had a group that, this is what happens, right? It'll come back. I'm invested the right way. Like the market returns, it's tied to the economy. I've seen this before, and it's part of my strategy. Those tend to be a little bit more on the younger side. And it's almost like if you just go through trial after trial after, I mean, imagine you're in that Gen X group, right? And so .com happens when you're late 20s, early 30s. So you get hit with that, then the market slowly comes back, and then 5-6 years later, now you're mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s, and you just get hit again with the great. And I've been through this, I've seen it, I understand it, I can accept it more.
You're listening to Clear Skies Retirement with Jay Kirkwood. And this is one thing that I want to bring out from this conversation is that everybody is different. Your retirement is not going to be like your friend who retired at the cubicle next to you. It's just not going to be the same. Your retirement is not going to be like your parents or your brothers and sisters. It's all going to be uniquely you. And your kids will have a different, retirement as well. How you approach it will be different. And Jay has to make those particular variations and options and different treatments of different retirements. Let's get your treatment of retirement. Let's sit down with you and find out exactly how you feel about risk, how you feel about the stock market, what confidence you have in Social Security, what are your worries. Let's get it all out on the table and talk through it. And then put together a plan that suits you, not everybody else, and not some kind of a cookie cutter kind of a thing, but what is exactly right for you. Here's the number and here's the website, retire210.com. Retire210.com. Go to the bottom of the page there, put a little information in there, say, hey, I want a meeting, and I'm worried about this. I want to talk about that. Maybe it's taxes that you're worried about or Social Security. Let's get it all out on the table. And we do a no-cost, no-obligation meeting, put you through what we call the Get Me to Retirement 5-step process, and you can find that on the website. You can also call Jay at 210-985-6200. 210-985-6200. Let's talk about your retirement today. And remember to have this podcast delivered straight to your favorite podcast platform by hitting like, follow, or the subscribe button. Thanks again for listening to Clear Skies Retirement, and we'll see you next time.
Investment advisory services offered through investment advisory representatives at Secure Financial Management, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed are not designed nor intended to be applicable to any person's individual circumstances. It should not be considered as investment advice, nor does it constitute a recommendation that anyone engage in or refrain from a particular course of action. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Secure Financial Management is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Secure Financial Management is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Wholesalers Insurance. Jamin J. Kirkwood, Texas Insurance License number 1421850.